Good evening. I'm Nichola McLeod. I'm a coach and mentor and a team builder, and I love supporting people to reach their full potential. Got 25 years or more in the experience in the business world. So, a senior executive in the corporate world, so as a self-employed entrepreneur. And tonight we are looking at turning fear into fuel. Okay, so before we go into the session, or just like this very, very first part, can you let me know in the chat box if you're feeling brave? What one fear that you think is currently holding you back? And we'll see whether any of the things that you've come up with are covered up on tonight's session. So, fear isn't the enemy. Here's something for you to consider. Fear isn't actually meant to be eliminated. We're not actually looking to get rid of it. Fear is actually a really, really healthy emotion. What we're wanting to do is to redirect it. Look, I promise you that fear isn't the enemy. In fact, it's a hidden source of power. It's your untapped superpower. The fear has been stopping you. It's just because nobody's taught you how to use fear as a tool. And I'm hoping today that that's going to change. We can't think that fear means to stop. Like it's that alarm bell, like stop immediately. You're scared. Reality, fear's just kind of a red flag pointing to something important. Fear is an indicator and not a dictator. So what I'd like to do, because it's the type of person I am, is just do a little bit of sciencey bit first, okay? Now, it is a bit sciencey, but the Amy Badala, right? This is part of our brains that receives information from all of our senses, okay? Something that I wonder whether you actually know. But fear and excitement trigger exactly the same psychological response. Your body can actually tell the difference between the two of them. Your brain floods with adrenaline, whether you're terrified or whether you're thrilled. The key here is to tell your brain a different story, okay? Instead of saying to your brain, right, scared, we're going to tell them a completely different story. We're going to say, actually, I'm excited. Now, here's an example. If you were thinking about, like, say, public speaking, for example, instead of I'm scared of speaking in front of these people, it's saying to yourself, actually, I'm excited to share my ideas. It is really easy to fool your brain. I see one of the fears, and I love it when people are brave enough to share what they're scared of. Um, one of the fears, door knocking for recruits. Just fixing it. Instead of I'm scared of door knocking because all of these terrible things are going to happen. I'm really excited to see who might be behind this door. Hold that thought as we explore a little bit more, because we're going to spend the rest of the session looking at loads of different techniques to help you turn your fears into fuel. Are going to help you to achieve your goals. Now, my recommendation would be to give all of these different techniques a try and see how you get on with them. There might be some that you look at and you think, I'm just never going to try it. That's okay too. But really, if you've made the effort to listen to this and you go through all of them thinking, I ain't going to try any of them, then you're just giving into that fear. And that isn't going to help you win. So let's go have a look at the different ones that I've pulled together. 10-second rule. Like, did you know fear hates speed? right? Absolutely hates it. When you feel fear kicking in, count backwards from 10 and take action before you get to 0. And what this does is it actually interrupts the overthinking loop. So, thinking of an example, Vicky's putting their fear of looking silly. I'm going to make up the rest of the story, all right? Which is you don't want to look silly, so you're really scared to press like publish on a post that you're going to put on social media. What if somebody thinks I look really silly? And it's just a case of going 10, 9, 8, and before you get to 0, pressing send. I know that some of you will be thinking this is mumbo jumbo. There's real science behind this stuff, okay? Look this one up. Dr. Jill Brutal Taylor found out that our fear-based emotions quickly reach a peak at 90 seconds and then they start fading. Now, you might think, well, if that's true, like I should just wait for 90 seconds and then I'll be fine. But the thing is, our brains keep the fear alive by repeating the thought loops. It never gets any stronger than after that 90 seconds. We just go into this perpetual loop, which is why fear hates speed, okay? So sometimes it is just a case of you find yourself feeling that moment of like, start counting down and commit to yourself that before you get to 0, you're going to take some action. And you will be surprised at the impact that that has. So that's our 10-second rule. Next one is the worst case fantasy, leaning into the fear instead of running away from it. Now, I've used this particular technique an awful lot with myself, but also when coaching others. Because I often find when it comes to fear, as soon as it pops into our mind, we do just do that stop. So instead, with this particular technique, instead of stopping, you're going to fully run with the fear. Okay? You're going to imagine the very worst case scenario. And once you've done that, you're going to ask yourself a really simple question. And then what? What's the worst that could actually happen? You'll find that actually the logical part of your brain starts taking over and you're able to find quite a manageable solution. It's when you stay in this loop and not going any further from that first fear that you end up paralyzed and you're just in the loop of going round and round. So I'll give you a couple of examples of what I mean by this because I think examples really help. What if I quit my job and I completely fail? Well, actually, then I'll just go and find another job. It's probably the worst that can happen. Well, now, I actually genuinely wrote this down. So, Vicky, I wrote this for you. What if I post this and people laugh at me? Well, then I'll just delete it and try again. It's taking it that step further. I'm like, yeah, well, what if it actually did happen? As I often do, you'll also find that you can live with the worst thing that could happen. The worst thing that could happen, yeah. What if I start this series of empowerment sessions that I'm doing? This is our third one, and they fail. Oh well, at least I tried. I'll just move on to something new. If I stay with that initial thought, what if I start and I fail? And I stay in that loop and just stay there all the time, nothing happens. So this one is about jumping into that, yeah. What if I do fail? Oh well. It's like actually it's not that bad. The worst thing that could possibly happen, no one shows up. Well, no worries, at least I tried. I'll try something different. It's surprising how much that can work. I'm gonna change gear now for the next technique, okay? I must admit, I've not tried this one, but I've put it to the top of my list now. Did you know that your brain links emotions to music? Now, you might be thinking about it in a positive way. You know, when you hear a song and it brings back a really happy memory, remember when you were at that wedding, or was the time where you met so and so, or that was the best party that I ever once went to, and you hear the song and it just evokes all of those memories and feelings. But we can use what our brain does there to actually hijack fear. Why does it work? Well, it's because music directly affects our limbic system, which is the system in our brain that controls fear. Fast, high energy music can shift you into confidence almost immediately. So, how does this actually work then? You want to create yourself a fearless playlist, okay? These are songs that make you feel totally unstoppable. Now, we all have them, don't we? It comes on the radio and it's just like, I'm turning this one up song. And I'm gonna follow along at the top of my voice in the car because this song makes me feel on top of the world. That's the song I'm talking about, okay? And you want a couple of these. It doesn't matter what the song is, as long as it's that song that you know you're going to turn the volume up to when you hear it. And when you feel fear creeping in, press play and move. Even if it's just tapping your foot, it will change the state of your brain. Is anyone already thinking about a song that they know will instantly make them feel epic? Try using that song to help jump you out of that fear loop and go and do the thing that you've wanted to do, but you're too scared of. So here's another one for you. Quite fast paced, these are. The worst advice ever game. Now, who doesn't love a game? Because I do. Honestly, the quickest way to break fear's grip on you is to make it sound absolutely ridiculous. Why is this going to work? Because fear operates in quite a serious, high stakes mindset. When you flip the script and make it absurd, it kind of makes fear lose the power. So, how do we play this game then? I want you to think of your biggest fear and think about what is the absolute worst advice I could give myself. So I'll give you an example. Go back to fear of public speaking. I used that before, right? Fear of public speaking. Don't worry, if you forget your words, just scream and run off the stage. And you start giggling. You're stupid. Fear can't cope with the laughter. It can't. What if you're really scared of failing? I just can't do this because what if I fail? Never ever try anything new then and just stay stuck forever. I love that, Sam. My dress breaks and my boobs pop out. There's always one, isn't there? Your brain will laugh at how silly your fear sounds and it reduces its control. This is what we want to do, is to manipulate your brain, because your brain's manipulating you with the fear. And we just want to say, wow, I know you held up that red flag. Thanks ever so much, but I've got it's okay. I've absolutely got this. So this worst advice ever game is really good fun to play when you know you want to do something. You really do want to do it, but you've come to the moment of doing it and you're right at the point where you're going to bottle it. Okay. So it's that, like, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to say something really, really silly to fear and watch it absolutely disappear. This is one that I think is absolutely brilliant as well. We're keeping on that theme while we're being silly of giving this one a go, right? Naming your fear. I've said already, fear feels powerful. Why? It's vague, okay? About the things that you're scared of. Immediately you can come up with an answer. I'm scared of. Right? Comes out straight away. But if we start to go, okay, give me details of what that fear, like what's going to happen. Well, I might look silly. Yeah, but what does that look like? Exactly how will you look silly? It's actually really hard to describe because it's so vague. If we give it a silly name, again, it's going to help you take that control back. Why does this work? Well, we've already established that fear is quite a serious character, okay? That thrives on seriousness. And humour weakens its grip. When you personify your fear, you get a personality, you start gaining power over it. So let me give you some examples. This is why I used a picture of the cartoons here, because we want to give your fear a funny cartoonish name. So fear of failure, maybe we'll call him Doubtful Dave. Fear of judgment, Judgy Judy. Fear of success, Sabotage Sally. Are you with me? You're on the right lines with me, okay? Next time fear shows up, walk back to it. Oh, look! Here comes Sabotage Sally. Thanks, I'm busy, love. It is that simple to be able to say, do you know what? You're powerless over me. Like, as I'm describing this, I can almost like feel people saying, well, I'm not going to do that. It won't work for me. It's silly. It's stupid. Well, so sitting with your fear, sitting with your fear is just as silly as giving your fear a silly name. It, it really is. Have you got any silly names that are already springing to your mind that you don't mind sharing with me? So, our next one, the 10-year test. And I use this one a lot. Scares you right now, honestly, will not matter in 10 years' time. So, why are you letting it stop you today? Fear blows everything out of proportion. It makes it feel so permanent. But if you zoom out of the moment that you're in, most fears tend to shrink down. You're just going to simply ask yourself next time you feel scared, will this actually matter in 10 years' time? And if the answer's no, which it probably will be, then it's probably not worth stopping you right now. I'll give you a way to think about this one. Do me a favour. Think back to something that you were scared of in your teens or in your 20s. Somewhere about that age, but you've got to remember something that you were really, really, really scared of. The fear was like really quite strong. And seriously, does it even matter now? Is it even relevant now? I bet it isn't. And it's that realization. Oh, I like that. 10 years powerful. I'm going to shorten it. I love it. Now, this one cracks me up. Instead of fighting fear, we're going to have a conversation with it. Fear usually isn't irrational. It's there to try and protect you. So instead of ignoring it, we're going to have a conversation with it. We're going to engage with fear, find out what it really wants. There's a couple of different ways that you can do that. You can write a letter to your fear, or you can talk to it like it's a person. Think about what style's likely to suit you more. What we're going to do is have a dialogue. Why are you here? Like, why have you turned up right now? Why are you scared? I'm here to protect you from failing. Okay, cheers. But what if failing is part of succeeding? Oh, I never thought of that. Fair point. You may proceed. And okay, I'm playing around a bit. But it is that simple of actually having that conversation with the fear. It's there to protect you. You're trying to protect me, Al. I'm trying to protect you from humiliation. I hardly think that's appropriate in this situation. Besides, I've got this. Okay. You will be amazed at the difference it has. All of this is about stopping the loop fear gets you into, which is you should be scared. Stop. Do not proceed. We're just trying to break that loop that you end up stuck in. So our final technique this evening, fear convinces us that in this moment, this is the worst thing ever. So in reality, it probably isn't. Our brains often overreact to uncertainty, but when you remind it that actually you have survived far worse, again, we're going to start reducing the power that fear has. In that moment where fear is present, ask yourself, have I survived something worse than this? Afraid to speak on camera? Well, you've survived awkward conversations before, face to face with people. Afraid to start a new business? Well, you've survived job rejections before. If you've handled worse, know for sure that you can handle this. So it's just about, again, interrupting that loop, having those thoughts of like, do you know what? I might feel a bit uncomfortable here, but I've been in far worse situations. Still here. I didn't actually die. Do you know what? All's good. I really, really hope that these techniques that I've shared with you have done a bit beyond that normal feel the fear and do it anyway. We've actually gone through 4 different styles of techniques for you to use to transform that fear into fuel. We've looked at some psychology-based hacks. We've looked at a couple of human-based ones to weaken fear. We've looked at some instant state changes, the countdown, the music. We've also looked at some long-term perspective shifts. And this is why I said at the beginning, my recommendation would be to try all of these because you'll be surprised at the difference it makes to you. For you to notice a difference, you're going to need to put some effort in, implement them. So that's my question. What's the one thing that you'll implement this week to overcome a fear? As always, I've got my free PDF. Obviously, this week it's on turning fear into fuel. Just drop me an email, nichola@beautyofsuccess.co.uk, and I will wing the PDF over to you. Our next session is going to be titled The Art of Networking. So I look forward to that next week.